I have never been so excited for the carnage.
This is an evil house. A place of sickness.
I'm Bryan.
I am Becca.
You're listening to Streaming with the Lights On, the podcast where we talk about what's streaming that gets us screaming.
It just gets worse and worse every week, guys. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, actually, the first time I did it was like not cheesy, and I'm making it worse.
But this is episode 5,
It is.
which is crazy.
Yeah, because it's been much longer than that for me and Becca recording several other episodes y'all haven't listened to and hopefully never will.
Because they are a little bit of a hot mess.
Speaking of hot messes, it's come to my attention that our first few episodes, this is our first podcast, our first go around. I know the audio is what, I'll put politely as shitty. There will be mics in our future, but I've got my girlfriend's gaming headset on. So we're going to see how that sounds for me.
I forgot to turn off my fan, so hopefully that isn't any interference. We're on the ball today.
We're on it. Okay. How you doing?
I am doing pretty well. Let's see, what did I watch this week? I'm back on my multiple, I say multiple, I'm like watching like 25 TV shows at a time. I'm back on that bullshit. And I had a realization. One of the shows that I'm watching right now was Once Upon a Time. And I feel like I watched a good, like I didn't watch all of it when it aired, but I watched a good chunk of it. And I'm finding that I don't remember a lot of what happened. Like I remember the big plot points, but I'm on literally maybe halfway through the first season, and there is so much that I don't remember, and that's not an old show. So rather than think about that negatively, that my memory is going, I am putting a positive spin on it, and I'm thinking about the fact that maybe I can circle back to shows every few years, and my brain will have forgotten the key points, and it'll be like a fresh new show. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at mentally. Besides the fact that apparently I'm getting old and I can't remember everything, which is it's fine, it's fine. And then I guess I should also mention the big thing that happened this past week. Jason Sudeikis liked 2 of my tweets about Ted Lasso, um, which I later learned he likes a lot of positive tweets about his show, which is understandable. It's an amazing show, and he executive produced it, wrote it, stars in it, fully understand it. Rocked my world though. And I realize I've never mentioned my personal Twitter account. So if you would like to follow that, it is oh, there it is. Becca watching TV.
I was like, did you forget?
I forgot what verbiage I used. Yeah, so that's kind of it. I realized that I don't remember TV shows that I watch, and Jason Sudeikis liked 2 of my tweets.
I can't say that I have any cool celebrities liking any of my tweets because I don't have Twitter.
Yet. We're gonna make him get a Twitter account, guys. We're gonna do it.
Help me use the tweet. I do have a movie that I also have the same experience of forgetting and rewatching, and it's the Mothman prophecies from the early 2000s.
Oh, nice.
Because every time I watch it, I know I've seen it, but then a couple years after I've last seen it, I'll pick it up and be like, I don't remember a lot of this, but I feel like it was pretty good. And I'll put it on and watch it, and I'll be like, oh, this is kind of bad. And then a couple years later, I'll start the cycle over.
See, I know I've seen Mothman prophecies, and like if I had to pick a favorite cryptid, it would definitely be the Mothman. But I know Richard Gere is in that movie, and that's about it. And it's one that I'm kind of keep getting the inkling to go back to, so I'm kind of mad at you that you said that it wasn't that good.
It's tough for me because I think the reason I forget so much is because I'm not able to put a definitive conclusion. Like there's aspects I really don't like, and then there's some that you ever see a movie or show or something where thinking back on it after having seen it gives you a different reaction or like a more positive reaction than when you're sitting and watching
I
it.
yeah, I had that experience, only the reverse with one of the movies I watched this weekend. So yeah, I get that. All right. So Becky, I'll start by saying that was my nickname when I was younger. I went by Becky, then Rebecca, and now it's Becca. So,
Hmm.
a little weird. But this movie came out in 2020,
In typical Bryan fashion, I finished it right before we recorded.
of course. It stars Lulu Wilson, Kevin James, Joel McHale, Amanda Brugel, and I'm going to let you say the director's names because I'm not even going to try.
You never try.
I know I do try. I do try and I fail. So don't even give me that.
Okay. You're right. Carrie. Oh God. Carrie Murnion. I don't know. I thought it was like Minion, but with a mer in the beginning. So Murnion. There you go.
Well, there's the second one.
There is. Oh shit. Google only gives me one.
Oh yeah, there's the second one on Letterboxd. It's
Oh,
Jonathan
it's
Milott.
Jonathan Milott and Carrie Murnion.
Yes.
Sure.
And this movie is currently available to stream on Hoopla, which is a free service offered by a lot of libraries in the United States. And it is also available on Showtime. Did you want to get into what this little movie was about?
We just like to give our listeners a warning beforehand that there are some potential trigger warnings. The notes we have here are that this movie does contain violence against animals. The dog, or at least one, does die, yes, so be aware of that. There are white supremacist characters, so there is some racially insensitive language. And last but not least, there is violence against a minor, which is the main character, Becky, of the movie. The length at which is just getting in the fight with multiple bad guys, so it kind of comes with the territory of the plot of the movie.
And I wanted to add that there are a whole bunch of specific questions that get answered on the website doesthedogdie.com. You can just put in the title Becky, or really any movie, and it gives you a very detailed list of other viewers that have, watched the movie and can answer very specific questions regarding that. So if you have something that upsets you and you're worried it might be in the movie and we don't mention it, definitely check out that website as well.
I'm I'm collecting my thoughts probably for most of this episode because, like I said, I just watched this, and there's things about the movie that just had me sitting and thinking, "Oh, I need to digest this." Yeah, I didn't know anything about this movie going into it, literally nothing, and there were multiple times, and Courtney can attest because Courtney does not like to be in the room if I'm watching a movie for our podcast. She doesn't handle scary very well. But while doing things around the house, she told me she heard several times where I would say, "Oh shit." And she heard me say that out loud. She walked by once and I had like an empty bag of tortilla chips and a drink next to me on the couch with our dog. And I had my hand in a strange position over my mouth, like I had paused to do something, and I was just staring at the TV with my eyes wide.
Yeah, I mean, I had my oh shit moments in this movie too, and it's funny because whenever I like gasp or laugh really hard or kind of make an unusual noise that I don't make on a normal basis, I alarm my dog so bad. Like he will wake up and stare at me, and I have to apologize to him. Like
Oh,
nothing's wrong,
oh,
just
Chandler.
watching a movie, and
He's a good boy.
I mean, debatable, but just kidding. Just kidding. He's a good boy. Yeah, so I watched the trailer for this movie. I remember this was before my anti-trailer stance, which I am currently on. I try not to watch any trailers, especially for horror movies, because they tend to give away a lot, and I am not okay with that. But I did watch this trailer, and I remember thinking, I don't know what this is, but I'm on board. I really enjoyed this movie. I am finding that I'm not really a fan of home invasion movies. unless they have some kind of a revenge aspect to it, which is not all that common in, because if you think of a home invasion movie like The Strangers, spoiler alert, does not have a happy ending. I like home invasion movies where, the people fight back, like You're Next or Hush
Or funny games.
or Fun.
Not.
Not really. I mean, Funny Games, that's a different that's a different level of home invasion. Or, I like that we see revenge movies outside of sexual assault revenge, because
Yeah.
I feel like those revenge movies kind of take the spotlight.
And I think just to add to that, maybe, because I'm not necessarily as big a fan of the home invasion subgenre as Becca is, but I do think there is something to be said about defending one's home, because a lot of the most visceral reactions we get from stories is because the conflict in stories has to do with something very primal. It's a very primal need. And they talk about that a lot in screenwriting, where defending your home is something that I think a lot of people will react to. And so I just think that that should be par for the course with a home invasion movie. This movie is like Home Alone on another level.
Right, it's like Home Alone with the gore. So I personally, you start at the beginning, which opens on I'm not even going to try and say that word that I wrote. Juxtaposition. I did it. Of a prison fight and a school fight.
Oh, yeah.
It was very simple, and the point was very obvious. But I thought it was very effective, and was very good at. I thought it was a really good way of kind of pushing you into the plot of the movie. Yeah, so I really, really liked the opening of the
I did
movie.
too. And it was funny to see Joel McHale in this movie because I mean, I just generally don't take him seriously because I'm so used to him as a comedic actor.
I did appreciate that his name was Jeff, and Jeff Winger, obviously in Community.
I didn't even think about that. That's excellent. I enjoyed Lulu, who plays Becky. She was very much a teenage girl.
And actually, fun fact, she was 11 when she first read the script.
Oh,
So that
wow.
is, yeah. And actually, other fun fact, Simon Pegg was supposed to play the villain, but he had to drop out in May of 2019 because of scheduling conflicts. So they hired Kevin James like a month later. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
And I mean, speaking of Kevin James, like I thought he did such an excellent job. Kevin James plays the like lead bad guy. I want to say he doesn't really break into their house. Like she invites him in, and then he just kind of stays and takes over with his guys. But I thought that he did such a great job, and he's so ingrained in American pop culture, from the King of Queens. So whenever before this movie, whenever I would think of Kevin James, you would think of him in those brown shorts and the brown shirt, and not once did I think of King of Queens during this movie. So that is pretty impressive. And he's also friends with Adam Sandler, and they do a lot of comedy movies together. That sounded weird, comedy movies, but comedic movies. I don't know if that sounds better.
Comedies?
There it is, comedies. Thank you.
Was that the word?
I think so. But like it's hard to get him out of that image of, being silly and goofy and kind of a lovable guy, and not once did I think of him that way in this movie. So I think he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, it was effective. I generally don't like the comedies that he's in. He was recently in a short. He did have some funny skits where he's a sound guy, like a boom guy.
Yeah, that's his YouTube channel, yeah.
Yeah, and that was pretty funny. But he also has a short where he's making fun of following guidelines to not die of COVID. So fuck that guy at the same time. So I was like, I find this fitting. But yeah, for the role he had to play, I could recognize that it was a good portrayal of a neo-Nazi escape from prison with this wild agenda.
Yeah, and I want to say that the reason they go into this house is that they're looking for this key.
Which we will get into.
Yeah.
because I have questions, but I don't want to jump that far
Right.
ahead
I
yet.
just wanted to clarify that for plot
Sure.
purposes. That they weren't just breaking into a random house. They went into the house with a purpose to find the key. I thought like overall the tone of the movie was really good for me. I thought it flowed pretty well.
Hmm.
The other like high end note that I had was some of the shots, the cinematography was really good. And especially there was the very beginning, Becky is waiting outside the gas station for her dad to come out. And I want to say she's like sitting against a white wall. And it was just such a lovely, lovely shot. And I didn't, after that, like, I don't think I fully paid attention to the cinematography because I was just caught up in the storyline. Um, but I think it was shot pretty well.
Yeah, it's not often, you brought up a good point to me. It's not often we talk about just the separate pieces of filmmaking that help orchestrate and put the whole thing together. But I did like a lot of the location. I did like some of the cinematography as well. I don't think the movie was trying to be too flashy about it. I think it served its purpose. And the movie did a good job of having me feel on the edge of my seat, or at least the edge of my couch. It is as much a thriller as it is horror.
Yeah, it's weird with like the genre classification, like it came up as like action adventure. I can see the action part of it, but the adventure I don't know if I see. Let me see what Letterbox.
I guess from Becky's perspective,
Yeah, they have it. Letterbox has it listed as a thriller crime horror, which I would agree with. I don't know so much about the crime, but and IMDb has it as action crime drama. So this is all over the spectrum for genres. But I would say action horror.
I would say action horror as well. And
Definitely not adventure.
yeah, this is not Dora the Explorer going around hunting Nazis. My category that I give for movies is, will it make me put my phone down? I didn't have my phone up. I've been noticing a trend that the more a movie has an effect on me, or the higher of a praise I might give it, the less notes I take, because I'm not paying attention to my phone to put notes down.
I guess that's a good thing.
And it wasn't until the movie was over and I'm like, okay, well, I need to get up, that I realized my bladder was in a lot of pain because I needed to pee really bad. And I just hadn't paused the movie to go up and pee.
Well, that is a great thing, I guess. Now Bryan has a serious problem with exposition.
Mm-hmm.
A love-hate relationship with it. I loved the way that the story was told.
Mm-hmm.
The backstory of Becky's mom dying of cancer
Right.
in the movie was more told through flashbacks than it was
It was shown more than told.
exactly. And it was very an integral part to Becky's character and her actions and kind of what drove her as a character.
Mm-hmm.
I guess motivations would be a better word. But I liked that you were never lost on what was going on.
Right.
And I really appreciated that because you did need that backstory in order to fully understand where her anger was coming from outside of the fact that, the main reason, like, her father takes her to this lake house, and the main reason is to tell her that he's going to remarry. So the backstory really gave explanation to why she was so angry about what was happening, as opposed to her just being angry that her dad's getting remarried from a divorce, or not that that isn't bad, but I think that the death and all of that, and the fact that she clearly hasn't processed it, really gives more insight into the character.
Yeah. I think that tells us her motivation. She's very melodramatic because she's a teenage girl. So I thought her reaction to things playing out, at least to the extent that any of us can relate to, it was very believable. Now, in terms of escaped Nazis breaking into your home, I don't know how a teenage girl reacts to that. I know how Becky reacted to that. I didn't have a problem with any exposition. To me, it's got to be pretty obvious, and it wasn't in here. So, yeah. How was the glare for you?
It wasn't bad at all. I would say maybe like 75% of the movie takes place during the day. It is in a kind of a woodsy area, but there weren't any issues I would think that there would be with glare. Now, like I said, the last 25% of the movie, it does take place at night and it's not necessarily the best lit. The other thing that I like to nitpick on is if there is a plot hole that really gets on my nerves. And oddly enough, I did not have one. I have some issues with the ending, but that's really it in terms of the plot. I didn't have an issue with any of the plot, which is kind of new.
So the moment that everything turns into like a revenge movie, Becky, her home is being invaded. It's the home that mom lived in before she died. And she's still grappling with that on a psychological level. The pieces are set there, and they only build as, dad gets murdered very swiftly and brutally, and she has very little time to process all that. And by the time Cole finds her little treehouse, and he's trying to negotiate with this little girl so he can get this key. And I love that the thing that really sets her off is just out of the blue being told that her mom will be safe. And like, obviously he has no idea who this little girl is. And it's like, of all things, that's what pisses her off.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't think that she wasn't already upset before that, but like, she's thinking and she's pacing around that little house and her mood switches like a light the minute, it's clearly a character beat when he says, your mom and kid are going to be safe. And she says, what'd you say? And said, your mom and kid are going to be safe. And she says, that's not my mom. And he's like, okay. And that's when she decides to start thinking differently while she's standing in that house. And she starts plotting something. And you don't know what it is yet, but you see her grabbing colored pencils and a ruler. And not only was it just such a teenager thing to do in that moment to like, instead of just panicking, you're like correcting someone who could potentially murder you. That that's not my mom. It was just perfect. And to me, that was a character beat that sort of set up her decision. Like, okay, I'm just going to fucking kill this guy. Because that's what she does. She sets it up and like, she's not thinking, oh, well, maybe it'll happen. It's a completely staged thing to distract him, swing down like she's Macaulay Culkin on her zip line, and then just out of nowhere start stabbing him to death.
I wanted to circle back because I thought you were going to dive more into the dad's death scene, and then you just went full on.
Yeah, that...
Because I wanted to get into that a little bit.
Sure.
Because just to, I guess, backpedal a little bit. Unfortunately, Joel McHale is not in this movie a lot, which is really sad. Part of me knew that he was going to die, but part of me hoped that he wouldn't. It was obviously expected for him to, he's on the walkie-talkie talking to her, and he's clearly thinking that this is his last chance that he's going to talk to his daughter. And, he builds it up like he's going to tell her to bring the key, and then he just tells her to run. Like, obviously, it was expected for him to do that because he doesn't want his daughter to get hurt, and he doesn't want her to give in to these bad guys because, the assumption is just because you give them what they want doesn't mean that they're going to let you live.
Right.
So his instinct was to have his daughter get away, as fast as possible, which I think is obviously a dad thing, a parent thing.
Yeah.
But that was such a powerful moment where he just screams run into the walkie. And it's not at that moment that I think he gets stabbed with a poker at that point.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because it was a good moment. But also when he does break free and run, she's concerned for him. So she's not really thinking clearly about, fight or flight in that moment.
Right.
He is hobbling or running up to her and he says, I love you, Becky. Because like he knows he has like 1 second to say something before he's probably going to get shot. And that to me was a much more powerful exchange because of how brief it was and how natural it felt to like, yeah, I think if you were in the moment of terror of being about to die, you'd probably want to instinctively just say something before you die, and that's one of the, I think, I would assume, one of the first phrases that someone would pick before.
What did he say? I don't remember what he said.
He said, I love you, Becky.
Aww.
And he gets shot.
Aww.
Because he, yeah, that was more impactful to me of like his death because like it's only a few seconds.
Right.
Clearly, like, we know, and Becky knows, and he probably knows that he's being followed by someone with a gun. He's going to get shot. He's not going to make it out. He's not running to save himself. He's just running to tell her to run. So yeah, I think that was a very impactful moment. And I like that she circles back around later in the movie, much later. She finds his body, and she doesn't like to be called Chipmunk, but she calls herself Chipmunk when she talks to his body. So
that was a sweet moment.
That was very sweet.
But back to the gore.
Yes, the gore.
I thought the gore in this movie was A+. It wasn't a constant gore fest. Like, it wasn't just gallons and gallons of blood.
Right.
Being, spewed out of bodies. But when they went for the gore, I put this in my notes and put it in all caps, they went for the gore. Like, they did not hold back when they went for it. Because you had the ruler scene that you mentioned where it's not just she stabs him once with the sharpened ruler, she stabs him repeatedly until it goes all the way through his neck. There is the eyeball.
Oh.
Where she stabs Kevin James's character with the key. She's like, "Oh, you want the key? I have it right here," and then stabs him in the eyeball. What happens after that normally does not happen when it comes to eyeball stabbings, which I have. So basically, and I have trivia for that too. But you're not quite sure what happens after. So he goes inside the house. He's holding. I wasn't sure what was happening. Clearly, his eye was damaged. I did not realize that it was fully dangling out of his head. And I definitely made some noises when I realized that. And then the fact that he goes to his, goon, for lack of a better word, I don't know what you want to call it, his accomplice, and gets a knife and just tells him to cut it off, and it won't cut off.
But you know why it's not cutting off?
Well, let me get to the trivia.
Okay.
So it says, for the scene where Kevin James had to cut off his dangling eyeball, the prosthetic proved harder to cut than expected, and the shot went on for a long time with him screaming and cutting before he finally succeeded, and then he burst out laughing.
That's great. I give him points for that. I give them all props for that. I didn't know that, so that makes me like the scene even more.
It's something that I don't remember having seen before in a movie.
Yeah, no, definitely. And
So what did you want to say? Why was it so hard to cut?
So the reason I liked it and I found myself like grossed out but able to laugh is because he asks his goon, which is clearly dumb, to cut his eye out. So he gets these scissors, and I'm just watching it happen. But then when it's not...
You can't fully look at it.
Right, but then when it's not working, and Kevin James' character takes it and sees what he's holding, I laugh because I realize he's got these tiny, like, toddler's scissors for cutting paper. And that's why it won't cut, because he's got a shitty little kid's toy scissors. And he's trying to use that to cut his eyeball out. So that's why he gets pissed off. And he says, fuck this, and he gets a knife instead. That just made it so much better. I think they were yellow or pink. I don't know, but that made it so much better.
That was a great gore moment.
Yeah.
And then after that, you had the death by boat motor.
He got motorboated in a way you don't want to be. Well, you don't ever want to be motorboated, I don't think.
I could have lived without that joke, but okay.
Yeah, well.
And then Apex, if I remember correctly, he just gets shot. He does not have a gory death.
You remember correctly, but he's obviously the more complicated character of the bad guys. And you obviously hate him because he is with this group. He murders people. He keeps riding the line between, well, he doesn't want to, so is he going to be... And there's several horror movies that have this character. One being like Last House on the Left. I remember there's...
Yeah, it's definitely a trope to have a member of this gang, second guessing what they're doing.
Right,
yeah.
And the audience constantly wonders, okay, is he going to turn or not? I mean, he does, and he's constantly like, oh, he's conflicted. He keeps telling Becky that he's conflicted. And
I think he's only conflicted because it's a child. That seems to be his only conflict is children.
right, and yeah, as far as we can tell. And he's like out of breath. They just killed the bad guy, and he says, I've done a lot of bad things, but maybe saving you, as she fucking shoots him. I was like,
Right.
oh shit.
Right. I had that in my notes. I was like,
I was like,
that
oh
she just,
man.
I mean, he attempts to help her and she kills him anyway.
Which it's like,
And
I guess so, yeah. I liked that surprise. You know, the deaths in general, I mean, maybe not a couple, but some of the deaths that were the most impactful were very swift and you don't really see them coming.
right. I want to circle back to him for a second
Yeah.
because I wanted to add something. So he mentions to her that he, has done a lot of bad things and they left a stain on him. And he basically, I believe that he kind of says or implies that you get to a point where you can't handle the stains anymore.
Right.
And so he says that he doesn't want her to get to that point. This is before she shoots him. But I think that was a clear foreshadowing for the ending
That's true.
and kind of alluding to her mental state.
Right.
Anyways, which we'll get into. But back to the deaths. I just wanted to add a little bit in there.
No, that's a very good point.
So then you have him getting shot, which is not really gory because you're kind of at a wider shot. It's not like a close up, which I think says more for the fact that he made attempts to help her, that he didn't get a really gruesome death, and that we weren't fully up close with it. Because his was the only death that we weren't up close with
Interesting. That's a good point. Huh.
in terms of bad guys. And then you have at the very end, the last death is obviously
Well, he was the last death. Apex is the last death.
no, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
No, he's not. Kevin James's death is the last death.
No, they kill Kevin James, and that's when they're both out of breath. And that's when Apex is like, I just watched the movie, Becca, I promise you. That's why I didn't expect it, and I don't think other people did, because they were fighting. He gets out of the way for the motorcycle to run over Kevin James. Then she walks off the motorcycle up to him.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I don't know why I put that little speech in, like, when they were in that field.
No, it was in the field. You're right. He has two speeches with her. He punches her. Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that he got shot in that field, too.
Oh,
My brain just
no.
mixed it up, yeah.
No.
Okay.
So, sorry. I just had to jump in there and say that. But yes, I do want to talk about the second to last death, the big one, which I want to say the glare did bother me there, and I didn't really get to fully enjoy Kevin James' death because of glare.
Yeah.
It was so dark.
See, it's a killer. And it ruins lives.
You are absolutely right. Yeah, what do you have to say about that?
So that was a four-wheeler, right? Or was it a mower? It was like a four-wheeler attached to a mower. So she brings it out of the garage and fully runs over
His face.
his body, his face. Yes. And then when she rolls away, I don't want to say it was like sliced in half, but it kind of was.
It was.
Because you saw a brain and
It was
other stuff that you would see when you would slice a head in half.
Yeah, it was like a very you had to chuckle because it was such a clean cut.
Right. And that's what I mean when they went for the gore, they went for the gore.
Yeah.
They did not hold back, which I fully loved. I have never been so excited for the carnage. Like, because I don't know if it was the fact that this poor little girl had been through so much shit already. I didn't want her to have to go through this. So then I was fully excited and ready for the bad guys to be completely ripped apart, and the movie did not disappoint on that front.
No, it did not. And I want to also add, I mean, just to piggyback on what you're saying, in a good revenge movie, it requires more than just gleefully murdering those that you take vengeance upon. And I liked that she was fucking with them. That emotional toil it takes on them is just as much icing on the cake as their murders.
And I want to add on to that, one of my favorite moments of the movie was when I believe Kayla was talking to Kevin James, Kayla, the fiance, because she's tied up with her son inside the house. And she basically says, like, I think she like chuckles a little bit. and she says that Becky is like headstrong and vindictive, and that he just killed her last parent. Yeah, basically implying that she's going off the rails and that there's absolutely nothing that she could say or anyone else could say that could change their fate. And I loved that. I'm totally butchering them because it was so well written
Yeah,
and acted, and I loved that moment, and I fucking butchering it. But I loved that so much.
I actually liked when Kayla, the fiance, later in the movie, is yelling at Kevin James. Because I mean, sorry, I don't know his name. We're gonna call him Kevin James. Um, when she's yelling at him and saying, "What the fuck was the point of all this?" And her child says, "You cursed," and she says, "Yes, you have to do that when dumb people need to be asked what the fuck they're doing." And
His name is Dominic, by the
oh
way.
yeah, Dominic.
Yeah.
But she asks him, she's just ridiculing him and clearly like annoying him. And it was nice that like she's still fearful for her child because she starts screaming when he goes for her child, but she's also pissed off and upset enough that she just wants to piss him off. She just wants to bully him. And so that felt very rewarding too, you know.
Right. Yeah. She fought back with her words until she was able to get free. And yeah.
Yeah, so that was very cool.
Do you want to talk about the key now?
Yes, I want to talk about the key. What the fuck was the key? What he want it for? And why was it in that house? Why was it in that house? Did Becky's mom know this dude? Was he a previous owner? Why?
You see the key, and he says some bullshit about it, something with the races.
Right, something blah blah racist conspiracy theory.
Right, exactly. And I personally loved the fact that we were given absolutely no information about this key or why it was in this house or anything along the lines of that. I love that because this was not a story about them. This was a story about Becky. And I liked that we were not privy to that info.
Right.
And yeah, I loved the fact that we got no information about the key whatsoever. I would disagree.
No, I do. And that's what's frustrating is that I do agree because in horror, you don't need everything explained to you. In fact, depending on what isn't explained, it can be better. I think a great example, and I'm not going to go off on a tangent here, but Becca will probably know because we both had Professor Charles Derry. Shout out to Derry. Our former film professor, when we went to college together, made a point that I believe was from an interview with Alfred Hitchcock that someone had, decades ago. I don't know if they asked about this, but he was describing the difference between horror and suspense. And suspense would be telling the interviewer that there's a bomb strapped under his chair and the audience knows how many seconds they have before it goes off. In horror, the bomb just goes off.
Right.
And I think that's very true for a lot of good horror. And in this case, I would be agreeing that not fully understanding the killer's motives, it can either make them scarier or make them dumber or both. But it also isn't necessarily, like you said, it also isn't necessarily important because the movie is called Becky. It's about Becky. We experience pretty much most of the movie through her perspective. And it does kind of make it eerie, right? Because the one and only time we hear anything remotely detailed about the key is what we assume is some crazy conspiracy theory that only a Nazi skinhead like Kevin James' character would have. And he makes it sound almost like supernatural. And I say it because he seems to imply that there's some great power with this key, whatever it's supposed to open. I didn't get the sense that it was just like a bunch of money or some special Nazi possession. I don't know. But like the way he talked about it, even if it was vague, made it sound like it's something very important and dangerous. And you could either laugh at that because he could be crazy and an idiot, or it could be creepy because you don't know if this movie could go in a direction like Lovecraftian. We don't get that, of course.
I'm so glad it didn't go there.
I'm glad too, but also we don't get that because the bad guys didn't get the key. It's significant because Becky is wearing it at the end of the movie, and they want us to see that she has the key. I don't think that implies any kind of sequel. I would hope not, but it does have a darkness or an evil with it, and I think that it makes all the more sense that she has the key on her rather than having like thrown it in the lake or buried it. She clearly chose to wear it, and she has an evil smile eating her gummies.
Right.
So I just think that, yeah, whatever purpose it served, it's supposed to be evil. I'm not totally bothered that we didn't find out. I am a little bothered that why the fuck was it in their house? Why was it in their house?
So you see her at the ending, it's very like the movie starts, like we mentioned, the prison fight and the school fight, but it also starts with her being interviewed by the cops. And she is trying to play it off that she doesn't remember what happened to these guys, how they died. And like you said, that she smiles while biting the gummy and all of that. And she has that kind of evil look on her face. I don't think I would say that it was evil. I think that her mental state declined throughout the course of the movie.
Right.
And I think that something in her snapped. I like movies where, characters' actions have consequences because I don't think that that happens a lot,
Right.
especially, like a mental consequence for your actions because all of that violence, as much as we, we're rooting for it and we love the gore and all of that, it would completely, in my opinion, would completely destroy somebody's mental stability. I will say though, I thought that compared to the rest of the movie, the ending was kind of,
It felt anticlimactic for you.
thank you. That is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, especially compared to the trajectory of the rest of the movie, like it just kind of felt like it ended and that was it. And I couldn't think of a different way to end it that would have been better for me. Yeah, I can't describe why it was anticlimactic for me, but it was, unfortunately.
It's just there's not a lot going on. It's not a very exciting scene. There's a lot of tight close-ups in a boring room. I get it. I was fine with it, but yeah, I mean, I agree that something felt underwhelming to me.
Yeah, that's a better word for it. Underwhelming. It was definitely, yeah. And I wanted to ask because we went over the deaths, but we didn't say what was your favorite.
I mean, I was pretty impressed and shocked by the death of Apex because it was so swift and I didn't see it coming. And I know I made noises of excitement because I was like, "Oh shit, that happened."
I think the eyeball scene was my favorite. But I will say that the death wise, I think the ruler Cole, and only because I think it was he's the one who killed the dog.
Well, yeah, and that's why I was gonna.
So it was the one that I think I was cheering the most with.
Yeah, because don't hurt puppers, and they're pit bulls, which
I was thinking of you while I was watching. I was like, oh
I
man.
was loving on my pity pepper, but I'm also still super annoyed that Hollywood continues to use unnatural pit bulls in movies because you're sending a message to the public that cutting off pit bulls' ears and docking their tails is cute. It's not. It's what certain cultures in America do to make pit bulls look more intimidating, and it's already bad enough with the abuse thrown on
Right.
top of pit bulls. So I'm like, oh, pit bull, nice, fuck you for doing that. So it's a love-hate thing to see pit bulls in movies. But yeah, the other pit bull got roughed up but lived and did some damage, which was nice. Well, I feel like we've pretty much shared all our overall thoughts. What's the rewatchability for you, and what would you rate it?
So yeah, I think the rewatchability is there for me because I do have, moods where I want to watch your next. I've been meaning to go back and watch Hush again, but I think that there definitely is rewatchability for me. I think that it was a fun movie. It was a fun gore fest, and I loved it. I think it's one that I'll probably add to my collection, which I don't know if that surprises you or not, but I think that the rewatchability is definitely there. And I honestly just thought it was fun. Like, it's not, it wasn't like a perfect movie for me, but it came pretty close to for what it was. So I gave it a 4 out of 5
Cool.
stars. What about you? Where did you land?
Yeah, it has rewatchability, and I agree with a lot of the aspects that make it enjoyable. It's a little harder for me to stomach revenge movies that are pretty plausible and aren't hokey. At least to stomach them enough to like watch it again tomorrow. Not going to do that, but I do find myself seeing it again at some point. And I do agree that, you have to suffer a little bit to enjoy the revenge. You have to feel the pain to get there a little bit. So I totally get that. And I thought cast did a great job. The
Yes.
filmmakers did a great job. The gore was
R.I.P. Jeff Winger.
I know. The gore was top notch. It had its moments to feel fun while still being a scary, pretty serious movie. I've been teetering between 4 and 4.5. I'll just say 4.5 out of 5.
Okay, well, we got to average that. So are we going with 4.5 or 4?
I'll let you decide. I don't care.
Fuck you.
Okay, 4. Let's just do 4.
4, okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I'm good with that. So our next movie is going to be PG Psycho Gorman. And I'm so excited. It's currently on Hoopla, but it's going to premiere on Shudder. I think it premieres the 21st on Shudder. I could be wrong about that, but it'll be on Shudder by the time this episode comes out. But yeah, it's currently on Hoopla. It's going to be on Shudder. I am very excited to watch that movie. So yeah, that's our next movie we're going to talk about.
That was just enough
Right.
gore and pain and trauma to
Right.
cleanse my palate of a good weekend and get me ready for Monday. But lots of fun as always. Yeah, if y'all enjoyed us, if you didn't, hey, leave us a rating and review on wherever you listen to your podcasts. Hit up our social medias at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yes, you did.
You can find us at SWTLO Podcast. Did I get that right? Sweet. This is my first time having a go at telling people about social media.
And our email
Becky
is streamingwiththelights@gmail.com if you want to shoot us an email there. And yeah, we'll be back next time to talk about Psycho Gorman.
Yes. As always, we'll stream you later.
Oh my god, that's so awful.